All right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We pick it up in John chapter 5 and verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writing, how should you believe my words? Psalms 51 and 6, if you would. Praise be to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Let's go ahead and make it to what it is. Behold, you desire the inward parts, and in the hidden part, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which you have broken may rejoice. Hide your face from my sins and blot out all my iniquities. Created me a clean heart, O Elohim, and renew a right ruach within me. So let's take a look at the 2 Chronicles 17. This is what I was talking about the other night. That was escaping my brain. So we're going to come around here and do it like that in 2 Chronicles chapter 17. But before we do that, we'll get the other day about Asa. Of course, you know, at the end of Asa's reign, Asa was killed because he did not seek to Yahuwah during the time of him dealing with the Assyrians. So therefore, he was deposed, not disposed, but deposed, which is the removal of a king. So we're picking it up in 2 Chronicles 17 and 1, and it's Jehoshaphat who takes over. And Jehoshaphat, his son, reigned in his stead and strengthened himself against Yasharal. He placed forces in all the fenced cities of Yehudah, set garrisons in the land of Yehudah and in the cities of Ephraim, which Asa his father had taken. Yahuwah was with Jehoshaphat because he walked in the ways of his father David and sought not unto Balaam, but sought to Yahuwah Elohim of his father, and walked in his commandments and not after the doings of Yasharal. Therefore Yahuwah established his kingdom in his hand, and all Yehudah brought to Jehoshaphat presents. He had riches and honor and abundance. And his heart was lifted up in the ways of Yahuwah. Moreover, he took away the high places and groves out of Yehudah. And in the third year of his reign, he sent his princes, even Benahil and Obadiah, Zechariah, and to Nethiel and to Micaiah, to teach in the cities of Yehudah. And with them, Levites, Shemaiah, Nethiah, Zebediah, Ashel, Sheremoth, Jehonathan, Adoniah, Tobiah, Tob, and Adoniah, Levites with them, Elishama and Jeroham, priests. And they taught in Yehudah the book of the law of Yahuwah with them, and went throughout all the cities of Yahuwah and taught the people. And Yahuwah fell upon all the kingdoms of the lands that were round about Yehudah, so that they made no war against Jehoshaphat. Now we're going to take this all into account. We were talking about this in regards when we were talking about David, when he sent out his message to deliver, to speak in his name in the ball. The place we went and looked at for that. That was 2 Chronicles 17. That was Matthew 10. So, but look, right? It said the fear of Yahuwah fell upon the kingdoms because these men went out and done this. So now I want you to do this. I want you to come to Matthew 24. And from Matthew 24, I want you to go to Revelation 11. And from Revelation 11, Revelation 14. But Matthew 24, first and foremost. You can pick it up at verse 4 on general principle of Matthew chapter 24. Yahushua answered and said unto them, we'll make it 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? When shall be the sign of your coming and the end of the world? It's funny that this man tell you exactly what the sign of his coming gonna be, and niggas still get it wrong. Still, and I get it. Everybody ready for it to come to a close. Some ready for it to come to, many are ready for it to come to a close for a multitude of reasons. Some righteous, some unrighteous, some out of wisdom, some out of folly. Nevertheless, the man tell you what to look for. Let's pay attention. Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. Listen to the man. See, Paul, Hebrew chapter 2. See, I see this all the time, man. I'm telling you, man, if you don't take heed to what you heard, this man make you just turn stupid. People think it's a game. Hebrews 2:1. Therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest any time we should let them slip. For if the word spoken by Malachim was steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received the just recompense of reward. See, that's where Ecclesiastes 8:11 come in at. If a sentence against an evil work was executed speedily, it is, since it's not, it's privily in the hearts of sons of men to do evil. Just imagine if this man rewarded every piece of rebellion, every piece of disobedience with a just recompense meet for what you have done. Just think about that. Because this man don't ever render to people according to what they've done. He says by no means does he clear the guilty. What do you want? If you're going to sit here, you need to sit still. You know, this table is not a... He said, how shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation, which at first began to be spoken by the Lord and was confirmed unto us that heard him? So, what ends up happening is what it's written in Romans chapter 1. Because you have not given the more earnest heed to the things that you have heard, lest they slip. Come over here to Deuteronomy chapter 4. You don't retain this man in your knowledge, and you become reprobate. See, what a lot of individuals don't realize is it's not that you just not going to know the information. You're not retaining this man in your knowledge because you don't have a desire to live by it. So therefore, you won't recall it. And when I'm talking about recall it, not the ability to answer questions, but you won't understand it. You won't have the insight on it. You won't have the wisdom to it. So what was once to you wisdom and understanding is now foolishness and gibberish and nonsense and fairy tales and things of that sort. That's what people don't seem to understand, because we want to act like, oh, he fell from. But also at the same token, I've told you this before, and I'll tell you this here. Don't nobody fall from the faith per se. You were never in it. See, what you don't understand is this man he draw people in so they can hear it and they can be damned by it when they turn their back on it. And if they turn their back on it, that means they were ordained from the beginning to do so. See, a lot of brothers, they get caught up and they don't understand, hey, man, these women dealing with witchcraft and dealing with this, and they talking about this. See, it's easy for a woman to get caught up with quote-unquote spirituality, playing with rocks and crystals and all this stuff and balancing chakras and all this here, because a woman has a desire and need to be validated on her own, outside of the source where she knows her validation comes from. That's why many women in this current society don't have a desire to be married, or say, why does my life have to be defined by being a mother and a wife? Because they don't want to fit into the role which has been created for them. No different than man. Man does not want to benefit in the role was created for him, which was to serve and praise his maker. So you come up with things in your own image and your own mind in order for you to go after. See, if you have wisdom and understanding, you see these things and you see it and you shake your head. This person's an idiot. This is why the Lord told his disciples, man, if they be blind, leaders of the blind, leave them alone. You're supposed to have enough understanding to know why they blind. You know what I'm saying? See, that's what we don't have. You don't have enough understanding to know why these niggas stupid. It shouldn't be no shock to you that a woman will walk away from the word and call herself a goddess, because in her mind, with the word, it's rules and structure. She don't want rules and structure. And the word, she has to be in a subservient position, which means she cannot lend to her narcissistic tendencies of being the center of attention. Oh, you departing? Oh, good day to you. This is male and female. There's different type of men. There's different type of women. You have women who understand. Whoa, gotta wait on it. You have women who understand their role and don't have a problem walking in it. You have men who see their role and want nothing to do with it. You have men who don't want to be responsible. You have dudes like this here. Why would I want to take care of a woman? Don't blame nobody because you keep picking the wrong women to take care of. You'd have done it because you didn't take the time to vet that woman to see if she was worthy of the benefit of what you were extending and also requiring something in return for the benefits that you are extending. See, I've told y'all this before. There's no such thing as unconditional love. I sat there and listened to a live stream where a dude was like, women and children are loved unconditionally, but not men. They got to provide something. If you a stupid nigga to love a woman and a child unconditionally, that's your dumb behind. You know what I'm saying? Well, he gets that from Chris Rock.
No, I'm just saying that's not true. Kids aren't loved conditionally. Because if that was the case, niggas wouldn't be in orphanages.
I mean, we already know a lot of children are not loved unconditionally because we've seen some women out here with their kids. Boy, I done seen women cuss they churn out like they not even theirs. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't gonna tell you no lie, man. In my 41 years of living, I ain't never seen a man cuss his child out like I done seen a black woman cuss her child out. Boy, I ain't never seen it. I ain't never seen it. I ain't never seen no black man talk to his child like I done seen some hood boogers talk to theirs. Boy, I ain't never seen it, boy. Boy, I never seen a man cuss his child out for walking too slow with him. Boy, I done seen many a hoe, many a day. You need to hurry up. Bah, 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 cuss this boy out. And you wonder why he grew up to be a killer. But see, we don't want to have that conversation because, see, that's a whole nother thing. Because, see, we could talk about the construct of the poor single mother here. But, boy, some of y'all live in the hood. You know what I'm talking about. Well, lived in the hood. You know what I'm talking about. You done seen it. You know why some of them boys in your neighborhood grew up to be the way that they was. Oh, yeah, I ain't never seen no man call his son out his name, out of malice and spite. Even if he was wrong, I ain't never seen it happen. I ain't never seen it happen. I'm talking about his boy, his daughter. I done seen black women call her own daughter a funky hoe and a female dog dead to her face just because she did something she ain't like. I done seen that. I'm not saying this to be, I'm telling you what I done seen, boy, and what I done heard. I ain't telling you what a nigga done told me, boy, I done seen it. Y'all remember that time we were downtown, that lady was cussing her child out like that and got mad because we said something to her funky behind. Like, why is you talking to that boy like that? That's my child. I said what I want. You shouldn't have a child, you stinking funky hoe. You out here homeless, got that boy on the street and got the nerve to talk to him like that. If that woman ain't even accustomed to no type of order. But see, this is also a thing, right? That nigga BOA said, no, that was Jack. But I already know this here. It's not what a woman does when she in face tell you who she does in the face of the saints that say that. You know what I'm talking about? That's a whole nother question. Some niggas foul, man. And when I'm talking about foul, I ain't even talking about the aspect of just going to fulfill the lust of their flesh. They foul in their heart because they don't believe nothing what they had heard when they departed from you. See, that's what make you foul, because you don't believe the word. And you got people be in there every say, boy, that messing with me, boy. Well, you heard them precepts? That nigga don't believe none of that. I'm telling you. I'm just telling you what I done seen. Oh, I don't even be on TikTok, so I ain't even mad. That's why I ain't never liked that whole Pretty B, because she be doing that little skit talking about peanut and all this here, and niggas laughing at that junk. That junk ain't funny. She playing the role of a woman cussing her son out. How y'all niggas find humor in that? And you wonder why these boys grow up cold. Yeah, and you wonder why these boys grow up cold, killers, can't love nobody. Have female mind, be selfish and emotional. You wonder why. Well, see, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm talking about? I just seen some people were talking about, okay, they telling dudes, don't get my kid. That lady say, well, why you can't be a mentor? And this is the funny part. If you wanted a mentor for your son, then why are you saying these dudes got to be with you if that's what you're concerned with? They ain't got to be with you because you don't really give a damn about that boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm mentioning this here because truth be told, the vast majority of people who walk around here don't care about these children, man. You say a weird way of laughing at their own pain? Shoot, I could believe it. That's what Jap was just talking about. Jap say these women be mad because they mad that they got these kids. They hate them children. And they don't even hate them children because they hate the daddy. They hate them children because they view them as bondage. They can't be free to be the whore that they were born to be. They can't go out here and slut and butt and all the other type of thing. That's why people run away from the word, because some people, they want to be rebels and sinners. They want to be transgressors, and they can't be the wicked person that they were born to be in the constructs of righteousness and kadoshness. They got to go. No, I don't want to say, you mean to tell me I actually got to do stuff? Because this is being honest with you, man, outside of this real talk, this is a lot of stuff black people don't like to talk about. The mass majority of men don't want to lead a churn. They lead a churn because they don't want to deal with their men. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. You know what I'm talking about? And that, because most people, I heard a lady say she actually went and talked to her daddy and got the other side of the story while her daddy left, and her mama tried to try to push all that out of the way while this man slid. You know what I'm saying? Because she knew that, hey man, you know what I'm talking about? Mom Dukes, you kind of sour. On the other token, it is a way more women than we give credit to. I'm not going to say they're the majority. Way more women we give credit to that can't stand the fact that they have children. Now, I've watched this and I noticed this. I told y'all this before. I know women, they may love their children, but they didn't want to be a mother. You know what I'm saying? And it shows. They say they see themselves. Yeah, I could believe it. But a lot of, like I told you, I'll never forget that. Like that chick I told y'all left her 3-year-old daughter in the house so she could go to the club while she was pregnant with a nigga who was not her daddy, and had a nerve to ask my homeboy where her Mother's Day gift was at. And he said, when did you become a mother? And she just sat there looking crazy. But nigga done seen stuff like that more often than not. I ain't gonna tell you no lie, man. Because me and Each talked about this not too long ago. Out of all the dudes that I know, I don't know too many dudes that don't take care of their kids. Boy, I done met a lot of women don't give a damn about their turn, boy. That I know personally. I ain't talking about people I met. I'm talking about people I know personally. Just this anecdotal, just from my life experience. I done met way more women who ain't care about their turn than I met men who didn't take care of their children that I knew personally. Now, of course, the overwhelming women that I knew who have kids actually love their kids and do for them. But I knew more women who didn't wish that they didn't have those kids than dudes that I knew who didn't take care of their kids. I do know men who don't take care of their kids now. Nigga don't hang with them either. Don't have no dealings with them or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Where the verse at that I want? There we go. You can pick it up at verse 4. Deuteronomy 4:4. I'm not telling that stuff up. You know, black people don't like to talk about stuff like that. It's a few things black people don't like to talk about. Black people don't like to talk about the fact that niggas be abusing their children. You know what I'm saying? Mentally, emotionally, verbally, physically, and sexually. Niggas don't like to talk about that type of junk. We try to act like that's white people stuff. Niggas try to act like niggas ain't been sissies and bulldaggers out here. Like that's something you learn from white people. No, it ain't. You don't learn perversity from nobody. Yeah, don't let nobody around here tell you learn to be a sis. Remember, we done talked about that before. The first sissies was black. And we trying to put that junk on them people. Woo! Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Nisha said, yeah, she definitely know a lot of women don't even have their kids. Will literally vet out a babysitter on Facebook and let anybody watch. Because that's the running joke. Grandma always got them kids. You know what I'm talking about?
And every time I go over there, I never see my cousin.
Yeah.
She's never there.
Yeah, come on, man. Cause she got a sled. The children stopping the sled-a-thon. You know what I'm talking about? Man, me and my homeboy, man, me and Fat Boy used to talk about this all the time. He say sometimes some kids scar because they got their parents. You know how sometimes people be like, man, that messed up, man, your daddy wasn't there. Well, some of these boys were messed up because their mama was there. You know what I'm talking about? That's a fact. And this is what Jack was talking about earlier. I ain't get to listen to it, but this is the best way to put it. Just because you got kids don't mean you raising them. Most people just maintaining them. And y'all got to make sure that you're not just maintaining your children and that you're raising them. Because there is a difference. Putting food in their belly, clothes on their back, and a roof over their head is just maintaining them. That's not raising them. Raising them is giving them something that they can pass down to their children. Raising them is putting in the standards and codes of conduct of character that you desire for them to have. You know what I'm saying? That's raising kids is past activities and trips and all of that there, man. Because when they get grown, that junk ain't gonna help them. When they get sit back and look at it and they faced with a situation or circumstance, can be like, boy, my daddy told me this. My daddy taught me this. My mama showed me this. Can they be able to draw back on that? That's raising children. That would have to sit back and look at, and you ask yourself, did your parents raise you or were you maintained? That's what you got to ask yourself. Did your parents raise you or were you maintained? See, when you're dealing with Yahuwah, he going to raise you. That's why niggas leave. Why you think a lot of people leave the word, man? Because a lot of them wasn't raised at home, so they don't want to be raised by Elohim. They going to go. They were see, when you maintain, you can do what you want. Don't nobody really pay attention to what you're doing and what you're not doing. Don't nobody really check you. Don't nobody come behind you. And most importantly, ain't nobody put no foot on your neck. You know what I'm saying? See, that's pimping. You got to put a foot on their neck. When you put a foot on somebody's neck, that means you got expectations and requirements, and they must be met. And not expectations that you created in your own mind, but expectations because you set down a set of curriculum of things that must be achieved. And if they are not achieved, that's why you have expectations. I expect for what I have given you to complete to be done in a timely fashion. So Yahuwah is giving you a word, and he has an expectation that you will hearken to said word and keep it. That's his expectation, because that's what he's laid down. Because see, Yahuwah put his foot on your neck. See, a lot of people, they ain't used to no pimping, man. They want you to play with them. That's why, hey, man, that's another conversation. We're going to leave that alone. You know what I'm talking about? Because you got to put some pimping in that thing, Muffin. Some pimping. You don't know nothing about that, dude. You're going to find out. Deuteronomy 4:4. He said, you that did cleave unto Yahuwah your Elohim are alive, every one of you, this day. Behold, I've taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahuwah my Elohim commanded me, that you should do so in the land where you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do. For this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear these statutes, and say, surely this is great nation, wise and understanding people. For what nation is so great, who have an Elohim so near unto them, as Yahuwah our Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to yourself. Notice what he told you, right? Take heed to who? Yourself. So you can't take heed for somebody else. When we talk about take heed, that means believe or hear with the intent to obey. You can't do that for your wife. You can't do it for your husband. You can't do it for your kids. You can only do it for yourself. Only take heed to yourself and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget all the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life, but teach them to your sons and your sons' sons. Notice what the thing is, right? If you don't take heed to the word, it's going to depart out of your mind. Now, that's what the law tell you this. See, I just came back here so you can see that the law tell you this. This is where a lot of people get caught up at. You don't take heed to the word, you're not going to, man, more people in this thing, man. That's why you got to watch out for them culture niggas. When I say them culture niggas, not passing down the culture of kadoshness and the righteousness of faith, but just the things that deal with nationality. Oh, see, you know, in our culture, we had 2, 3 wives. In our culture, we did this. See, they're not passing you nothing down. Because occupations is good, but this is not what this man told you to pass down. He told you to pass down that they take heed to this word and remember it and guard it and keep it, lest it depart out of their mind. And not even just to see, like this here, right? You have to look at the promise. Most people don't believe what the man done promised them. Because he's promised a lot. And most people don't have no regard for what he's promised. Matthew 24, excuse me. And that's another reason why most people walk away, but y'all already know that. Most people don't believe what he's promised. They don't believe he's going to do what he said he's going to do. So most people are impatient, especially if you're dealing with an immature-minded man or a woman. Most women that can't wait for what they want. They want instant gratification. Huh? Oh, if she passed her prime, that's a wrap. I'll be honest with you, and it's just a detour. You wonder why you see all these women on the internet complaining men don't approach them, and this, that, and the third? Because see, them hoes done dilly-dally with their coochie for too long. They played with it for too long, thinking that they could play the field and do this, that, and the third and get the man of their dreams. And guess what done happened? The game that I got as a jit, and that many other dudes around my way got. Now you got the internet and you got dudes telling dudes to stop being suckers and simps and fools for women, and they not doing it no more. I've been told y'all that. That's why they mad at Kevin Samuels. You telling men, man, stop going for this junk. You know what I'm saying? You got dudes like BOA and regardless if you agree with any of these dudes or not, Ram 313, Donovan Sharp, you got all these type of dudes telling dude, hey man, stop being a fool, bro. Stop messing with these hoes, man. These women don't care about you. You know what? And when they say don't care about it, meaning none of these dudes are telling you not to fool with women. They telling you to make these women give you something for what you're giving them. And these women don't like it. They're hitting the wall. Guess what the word come up with? The word telling you that for Yahuwah to give you what you want, you got to give him something. You got to give him your life. So as a man, when you approaching a woman and you saying you want her to be your wife, she got to give you her life because she got to serve you now. Matter of fact, we was out there talking, man, Mike say, you know, sometimes I can be selfish. I say it's not being selfish if you paying for everything. If you paying for everything, that means you could get what you want. Yahuwah is paid for everything. Pause. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. He done paid for everything. Matter of fact, Isaiah 52, then 1 Corinthians chapter 6. We're going to work our way to 1 Samuel 25. Just bear with me. We're trying to set a little stage. Isaiah 52 and 1. No, y'all. You're standing there like you done ate too much food. Oh, you ain't ate enough, huh?
Oh, listening. Thank you.
You're standing there like you drunk one too many beers. You done drunk a beer? Do you even know what that is?
A drink.
Just go on in. A drink. Do you know what a beer is?
Mm-hmm.
What?
A drink.
No, so you don't know what a beer is. Clearly not. Isaiah 52 and 1. It's okay. Would you like a beer?
You mean a beer?
A beer. Beer. B-E-E-R. A beer. A Budweiser. A Natural Life. Maybe a Four Loko. 211. Would you like one? My granddaddy gave me beer. You want a Budweiser? Bud Light? It'd be a Bud Rita. Is that what they call it?
I have no idea what you mean. I never heard of this before.
Clearly not. Isaiah 52 and 1. Awake, awake, and put on your strength, O Zion. Put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem. The Kadesh city, for henceforth shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake yourself from the dust, arise and sit down. Loose yourself from the bands of your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. Just keep that verse in mind. It'll come back up sometime later. For thus saith Yahuwah, you have sold yourselves for nothing. You shall be redeemed without money. You sold yourself for nothing. You were redeemed without money. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. See, I mention this here because, see, if you pay the cost, and this is why a lot of women in this society they want a man to pay all the bills, but they don't want the rulership that come from a man who pay all the bills. Which is why a lot of them want to keep some man of income so they can leave. See, like I said, right, I always hear women, you never know that man gonna leave you. Ain't no niggas don't be leaving. Guess what? That's why you think people be having 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in with sinners just in case something happen, I can leave Yahuwah. He might leave me. Yahuwah don't leave nobody who stayed with him and follow what he say. Ain't that what he told you? He said, he will not forsake you, but if you forsake him, he will forsake you. That's what he told you. I'm just giving you the spiritual concept of how women in our culture, when I say our culture, American culture, behave. Because America doesn't have a culture, therefore that's why you have so much chaos here. See, like when I heard the people that talk arguing about culture and trying to separate religion from culture, you can't separate religion from culture because every person's culture is founded on their religious belief. See, if you would go to China, you would see that their culture is founded on their religious belief, which is nothing. Their religious belief is their version of Soviet communism because they don't have a particular religion in China. It's outlawed. You know what I'm saying? To a certain extent. If you go to India, you know that majority of their culture is founded and moved upon Hinduism. So the caste system and all they got in India, all that come from Hinduism. That's the foundation of how they live. The foundation of how quote unquote Middle Eastern people live is founded on Islam. See, it's only Western cultures that is an amalgamation of everything or Babylon. Confusion. And when you have confusion, you have chaos because you have disorder, because there is no culture. See, in America, you can worship any God you want. In America, you can do whatever you want. So, of course, there is no culture. For quote unquote American people, culture is freedom. We have freedom to do this and freedom to do that. And we got to hold on. That's their culture. And that's it. That's all that's what they pass down to their offspring. I've told you this numerous times. That's why when you have people who come from overseas who have a set culture, that's why they don't want their kids to assimilate with anything American. That's why when you look at overseas, when American stuff go over there, that's why they fight so hard to keep it out. Because it is confusion, it is disorder, and it is chaos. And they know the first group of people who will get hold to it is the women. Because once you get to the women, that society is done. See, people overseas, there's that strong male leadership. They know this. You get the women, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to call and everything go downhill. Or you don't got to believe me. Just go look at it. That's not to say that these people are just and upright in their societies, but they have a culture and they want to stick to their culture. And every culture every race of people has a religious system that they follow. They may have adapted it to somebody else's, but they all have one. They all have one. There's not one that doesn't. Far East people have a religion that they follow, whether it's Confucius. I think it's called Taoism, if my memory serves me correctly. You know what I'm saying? You got Hinduism. You got Zoroaster. You got all this type of stuff. That stuff is native to every culture. Only in America. America couldn't do nothing but take your culture and bastardize it by mixing it with pagan idols and the rites and rituals that go along with them. No, they didn't. And see, that's how I know that people don't read. Because I told you this before, no disrespect to Caucasians, but they don't have a culture. They don't have anything that they created that they follow, meaning they don't have a religious system. Their religious system is what they took from other people. They don't have that. All you got to do is read books, nigga. It's there. Well, I'm telling you. And I'm telling you, this stuff I learned, and I had learned all this before 1999. You know what I'm saying? This stuff ain't hard to find. That's why they come at you with y'all following them fables. The white man wrote all this here. Ain't nobody wrote nothing, boy. Y'all following. These niggas be around here up in Egypt. Y'all already know how I feel about that. Y'all following sissies. Niggas who eat rhinoceros butt. Don't talk to me about some fairy tales. And y'all around here following a nigga who nut on lettuce. Following gods who try to get their own self-fellatio. Come on, man. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. They niggas stupid. 6 and 15. You're a pervert? Oh, man. Say you pervert? Can't nobody say it like that, nigga. Somebody
called the other day on that one stream. I don't want to say it before. It was like, I just want to repent for my sins. I'm a pervert.
There's a lot of people out here perverts, and you ain't no pervert just because you're out here looking for buns or looking for some kielbasa's. A lot of people pervert righteousness. You're pervert. 6 and 15. Know you not that your bodies are the members of Mashiach. Shall I then take the members of Mashiach and make them the members of a harlot? Elohim forbid. What? Know you not that which is joined to a harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. He that is joined unto the Lord is one ruach. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man do is without the body. But he that commit fornication sin against his own body. What? Know you not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKadosh, which is in you, which you have of Elohim, and you are not your own? For you are bought with a price. Therefore, esteem Elohim in your body and in your Ruachs, which are Elohim. See, Yahushua paid the price. He paid the cost to be the boss, if you would. That means he can dictate terms and conditions to dwell in his house. That's what most men don't realize. That's why a lot of dudes don't want to pay all the bills, because you don't want to dictate terms and conditions. You ain't got no nuts. You've been castrated, neutered, or spayed, whichever one it is. You had your balls snipped. Because you pay all the bills, you call the shot. She got to meet that. See, some people are like, I don't want to live my life dictated by, boy, shoot, live alone, funky hoe. That's how Yahuwah gonna do you. Or you don't want to live by the terms and conditions of my covenant? Shoot, then dwell godless. Simple as that. See, people don't like that because they have to make a choice. And see, what people want is I want your benefits with the ability to do what I want at the same time. It's not how things work. Matthew chapter 24. That's only in the movies, baby. That ain't in real life. Matthew chapter 24. Verse 4 one more time. Yahushua answered and said unto me, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So guess what? If they talking about fighting here and fighting there, you don't need to be bothered. That ain't got nothing to do with you. For nation shall rise against nation. So again, that is not America rising up against Mexico. Don't you listen to them stupid niggas tell you that. When he talking about nation against nation, that means Edom would rise up against Moab, and Moab would rise up against Ammon, and Ammon would rise up against Ishmael. Now, they don't tell you for what reasons, but that's what that means. But when he say kingdom against kingdom, then that's when you look at America against Russia, Russia against China. That's when you deal with all of that. And there shall be famines, pestilence, earthquakes, and diverse places. And I can tell you right now, ain't no famine in the earth right now. See, everybody looking at stuff and like, oh, it's going down because of the COVID stuff with the vaccines and all of that. And you jumping the gun, baby boy. Because guess what? I told you this every time. Boy, Yahuwah is not being talked about, and nothing that's going on out here. Yahuwah is not being discussed. Are y'all hearing Yahuwah discussed on your evening news? See, don't tell me about the YouTube videos. I'm talking about as you go out your daily life, or you hearing about people talking about, boy, I heard people talking about this word of Yahuwah and we need to repent. I don't want to hear that. They need to do something with them people and make them stop. Because I ain't heard it, man. I ain't heard it, man. That's why a lot of brews got excited with what Isaac Bruce said. So he was speaking in code. That man wasn't speaking in code. He was pretty direct. The man definitely said, blessed be the man who come in the name of Yahuwah. So that's pretty direct to me. You know what I'm saying? And all he was telling you was, hey man, redemption coming. And Yahuwah finna crash these people. That was pretty direct to me. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. He said that during the Hall of Fame speech. So what I'm talking about is you're not seeing that everywhere with people proclaiming that. That's an example of somebody in a public space proclaiming the name of Yahuwah and the things that Yahuwah stands for. Because that's literally what he did in his Hall of Fame speech. The man literally said that this man is going to redeem, the saints are going to rejoice, the wicked are going to be extinguished, and blessed is the man who come in the name of Yahuwah. This is literally what the man said. You're not hearing that everywhere you go. Now, if y'all didn't see what, you don't know who I'm talking about, Isaac Bruce played wide receiver for the St. Louis Rams for many a decade. I had his football card several times, played with him on Madden many a year. He entered into the Hall of Fame, and that's what he said during his Hall of Fame speech. If you desire to see his Hall of Fame speech, I don't think it'd probably be difficult to find, just Isaac Bruce Hall of Fame speech, and there you go. Let's continue. He said, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So when those things happen, that's just the beginning of you being sad. Not the end. The beginning. That's what you need to let people know that. Earthquakes, famines, wars, that's just the beginning of sorrows. That is not the end. So that means we ain't even touched the beginning of sorrows yet, people. We have not even touched the beginning of sorrows yet. Because this is what he says after that. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Is anybody being delivered up and being afflicted and tormented and locked up and killed for the name of Yahushua? I think not. That is not what's happening out here. So let's pump the brakes. Stop letting every event be the fulfilling of Bible prophecy and sit your stupid behind down somewhere. You sound like a jackass and a fool. He said, then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and hate one another. Why are you going to be offended? Because when persecution and tribulation arise for the word, by and by you are offended. So many people who proclaim the name of Yahushua are going to be offended at the sufferings that they're going to have to take because of the word. That's why he told you, fear not them who can kill the body, because afterwards they don't have anything that they can do. That has not occurred. People are not betraying anybody, and people are not hating each other because of Yahushua. People hate each other just because they're evil. He said, many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. See, the false prophets rise in TD Jakes. Well, that's not who you need to be looking for, man. I'm trying to tell you, the false prophet that's going to arise and deceive people are going to be way more persuasive than a Creflo Dollar and a TD Jakes. I can tell you that. Because these boys ain't working no miracles to deceive nobody. These boys just deceiving people with their own lust because you niggas greedy for money. That's why they ain't nothing but women in them churches anyway. Ain't no man finna sit in there and put up with that crap. Ain't no man finna sit in there and listen to that junk. So is seed. No, this junk, this big fat nigga with skinny jeans on, sweating like a poached pig. Ain't no man finna sit in there and listen to that. Man, I'm gonna tell you something. You already know you're gonna be in a spot when ain't gonna be too many men, when the women have too much of a voice in the leadership position. You know too many men ain't gonna be there. Ain't no too many men finna sit there and listen to that. And when I say men, I'm talking about men, masculine men. Ain't no too many men finna sit in there and listen to that. I don't care who don't like what I had to say. I don't care who get offended. Ain't too many dudes finna sit there and listen to that, man. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too many men finna be led by no woman. Niggas ain't even being led by their mama. Don't you know you're supposed to get a time period when your mama submit to your leadership, that if you tell her this what it's gonna be, she gonna follow? Niggas ain't even got that type of sway with their mama. So you know full well these niggas ain't finna sit here and listen to no woman tell them what to do. Ain't no man who's a man finna be led by no woman in nothing. And that just is what it is. Ain't too many men finna be led by their mama in nothing. No woman in nothing. Not no man who's a man stand on 2 feet and urinate standing up. That's not happening. People submit unto them and they yield to his leadership in his direction. He ain't yielding to no woman direction. I can guarantee you that. And people will be like, see, that's you being this and that, man. I don't care nothing about that junk you talking about, bro. You know what I'm saying? You sound stupid because you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. Man, bump your feelings. That's what's wrong with niggas now. He's saying, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. He that endured to the end, the same shall be saved. This good news of the reign shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. I did it like that for a reason. It says this good news, this basar of the reign of Elohim. Because when you hear kingdom, that's what you got to understand. We're talking about the reign, the Malkuth, the dominion of Elohim. When you preach the gospel, you're preaching about, remember we talked about that in Isaiah 52. Declare unto Zion thy Elohim reign, or as Malik, he's got dominion, he rules. So when you're preaching the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach, in turn, you're preaching that he is going to rule. Which is why I said in Revelation 11, and why we're going to look at that in a moment. Then he said that will be preached into the world for a witness to all nations, that all nations of people will know that Yahushua will rule on the throne. I just want y'all to keep, remember what we talked, we read this earlier, and I'm doing all this because of what we read in 2 Chronicles 17. Do y'all recall that it said when those men went throughout Yehuda to preach that everybody submitted unto him and they made no war with the king? Let's go back and look at it before we go to Revelation 11. 2 Chronicles chapter 17, verse 10. After that, we'll go to Revelation 14. Oh, you getting vanilla bean? Oh, you ain't getting no vanilla bean. Your nose look like a bean. See? Boop. 2 Chronicles 17 and 10. Make it 9. And they taught in Yehuda and had the book of the law of Yahuwah with them and went about throughout all the cities of Yehuda and taught the people. And the fear of Yahuwah fell upon all the kingdoms of the lands that were round about Yehuda, so that they made no war against Jehoshaphat. Notice that it said that the fear of Yahuwah fell upon who? All the kingdoms round about Yehuda. None make war with the man. Come on and rock with it. Revelation 14. Oh, that vanilla bean. Oh, you vanilla bean. Oh, you vanilla bean. 14 and 6, Revelation. Oh, vanilla bean. Oh, thank you. I'll take that. No, that's mine.
No, it's actually mine.
Not anymore. I've taken that. Hey. You need to back up. It's mine now.
It's mine.
You laughing, but this is not a jovial situation right now. I have taken possession of this. Thank you.
This is mine.
I'm not playing with you. Don't come over here.
That's actually mine.
No, you're not understanding. I've taken it.
But it's still mine because I'm about to eat the ice cream.
I just told you don't come over here. No.
My ice cream. But it's my ice cream.
No, your ice cream has been taken.
Mine. Can I have it? Can I have it back?
No, you've been ganked.
Squirrel, can I have my
Just got Jack for a bowl of ice cream.
No. Yeah, she can depart from me now.
It's my ice cream.
Oh, I guess you don't understand how robberies work.
This is my ice cream. But can I have it back?
No, it was your ice cream. And then I took it.
Javier, you got Jack for a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, I took it.
It's gone.
It is mine now. How much are you willing to pay to get it back?
How much do you want?
How much are you willing to pay? What is this ice cream worth to you?
$1.
It's not enough. Revelation 14:6. And I saw another Malachim fly in the midst of Shamahim, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear Elohim, give esteem to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. Worship him that made Shamahim and the Arats, the sea, and the fountains of the waters. So notice that word is going forth to everybody, because everybody is going to have to yield. Let's return to Revelation chapter 11. Well, let's not return, but let's take a trip to it. I want you to pick this up in Revelation chapter 11. You can pick it up at about verse 6. These have power to shut Shamahim, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascend out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. Their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds of tongues of nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. They that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. Now understand this here, right? They're the two witnesses, and they prophesied for a period of time. They were preaching that everlasting gospel for people to repent, and people didn't want to hear it. And they killed them for it. And when they died, these people rejoiced. Now remember, it said the beast that ascend out the bottomless pit, because of course he ain't gonna want them to preach this word that they preaching. Now let's come over here to verse 15 of Revelation chapter 11. Now the seven Malachim sounded, there were great voices in Shamahim. The dominion of this world are become our lords, because that kingdom is not there. So that means the rule that the people on the earth had have now become Yahushas. That is what it is telling you. That's why you're going to be hated by all nations for his name's sake. You're telling them their dominion and rule is going to end, and Elohim is going to rule. Don't nobody want to hear that. You think them people want to hear that? That's what you need to remember when he said, we talked about this before, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Elohim. You're talking about the dominion reign of the heavens, the dominion and reign of the mighty one of Yasharal. Now let me ask y'all a question. You can respond in the chat as you will. If you got dominion over something, what does that mean those in that dominion have to do? Oh, that's a little different. Paying tribute is bringing gifts.
Well, not tribute, but tax.
That's it. Tax is a little different. You can have dominion and rule and not tax. If he's got dominion and rule, what does that mean that people have to do? They have to obey. Yeah, they have to. That's why he told you every knee gonna bow and every tongue gonna confess. They're gonna have to submit to your will. Now ask yourself this here. In America, a man can make a music video butt naked, dancing in the shower with other men. In America, you could be the biggest whore you want to be. In the Middle East, you could be a grown man and marry a 7-year-old. In India, you can worship an elephant. Ain't no more drunkenness. Ain't no more getting high. Ain't no more lies being told. All that there, you're going to have to submit to his dominion. And you think you finna go around and tell a bunch of people who rebels that they need to prepare themselves to submit to somebody who they don't even believe in? And you think they just going to be like, you know what? I sure will. You got to be real with yourself. And the seven Malachim sounded, and there were great voices in Shamahim. The dominion of this world are become our Lord's and of his anointed one. And he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before Elohim and on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped Elohim, saying, we give thanks, O Yahuwah Elohim Almighty, which are, was, and are to come, because you have taken to you great power and have reigned. and the nations were angry. And your wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, that you should give reward unto your servants, the prophets, and to the faithful, to them that fear your name, small and great, and you should destroy them that destroy the earth. Now, to make this quick, when you read Daniel, right, it said that the prince shall take that man down who had the ability to understand dark sentences without hand. Even though the text says what? That they will gather themselves up to go to war with the Lamb. Did they actually get a chance to go to war? No, they did not. This man crashed them as soon as he cracked the sky. And all the nations feared and did not make war with Yahushua, just like they didn't make war with Jehoshaphat when that good gospel was going through that earth. That's why we took this pack to look at that. Now we could go to 1 Samuel 25. I didn't want y'all to understand that because, everybody every year it seems like we have to talk about something happened and we had to look at here. Well, the text ain't told you to look out for that. What's wrong with these people? Most of that, I told you before, more people who say they want the Lord to come back, they don't. Just like he said, you want this man to, Peter told you want this man to take his time, Because if this man come back, boy, and you ain't ready, you gonna be like this here. No, please don't kill me. And he don't want to talk. That man don't want to talk. 1 Samuel 25 and 14. That's where we stopped at. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. I didn't want to share with you railed, if you're not familiar with what it is. It is eat, to scream, to shriek. It is ayin, yod, and tet. See, unfortunately, most people who rail, they have experience with the works of the serpent. They know and experience the works of Satan. John 8 and 44, just on the house. You have to look at that. That's why, remember, you're going to be hated by everybody, by all. These people got experience with Satan. If you commit sin, you're the devil. You got experience with it. John 8 and 39. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our Abba. Yahushua said unto them, if you were Abraham's sons, you would do the works of Abraham. But now you seek to kill me, the man which have told you the truth, which I've heard of Elohim. This did not Abraham? You do the deeds of your father. They said to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one father, even Elohim. Yahushua said unto them, if Elohim were your Abba, you would love me, for I proceed forth and come from Elohim. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you cannot unhear my word. You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. And when he speak a lie, he speak of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. Which of you convince me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. You hear them not because you are not of Elohim. That's why Nabal ain't here. Because Nabal wasn't an Elohim. That's why you'll be hated by all nations for his name's sake, because they're not an Elohim. That's why the nations were angry. That's why the people stood in the streets and rejoiced and exchanged gifts when the two witnesses were killed, because they're not an Elohim. Because see, if you rail on somebody if the person rails on you because you bring in the word of Elohim, that means they've experienced or know the works of the snake. They are experienced with performing the works of Satan. Which goes back to what we began with if you don't take heed, then you're going to forget those things. They're not going to stay in your heart. And therefore, you will end up being given over to a reprobate mind to do those things that are not convenient. That is why it's important. When you talk about taking heed, not just, I was listening during the stream. No, taking heed is you take heed to the man's word. You guard it. You observe it. It guides and directs you in the way that you should go. First Samuel 25:15. But the men were very good unto us. We were not hurt, neither missed we anything, as long as we were conversing with them when we were in the fields. Let's look at conversing. Well, this one here, that is halak. And if you know what that means to go with, to walk. So notice that he said that we were not hurt as long as we walked with them. Uh-oh. Oh, boy, you're going to have to walk with the Lamb. As long as you walk with Yahushua, then ain't nothing going to happen to you. That's what a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to walk with it. Remember what he told his apostles in Matthew 19? If you forsake me and follow me, come on around here to it then, man. We ain't going to play no games with it. Let's just look at that. Matter of fact, before we do that, Genesis chapter 28. Let me do that first. See, this is the part that most people don't understand. As long as you walk with him, you ain't going to be hurt. But see, a lot of people, they don't want to walk with him, man. Genesis 28:16 on the house. From 28:16, we go to Matthew 19:27. Genesis 28:16. Jacob awaked out of his sleep and said, surely Yahuwah is in this place, and I knew it. He said, what's they say? I knew not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other than the house of Elohim. This is the gate of Shamahim. Jacob rose up early in the morning, took the stone that he had put for pillows, set it up for a pillar, and poured oil on the top of it. He called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of the city was called Luz at the first. So of course, he changed it and named it the house of Elohim. Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if Elohim will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on. To make it quick, because we didn't talk about this plenty of time, and we don't have time to do it this evening in great detail. Jacob swore to Elohim that if he be with him and walk with him in the way that he going, and we know what that way is, it's the way of Kadash. Because as long as you're conversing or halak with Elohim, ain't nothing going to happen to you. See, that's what a lot of people don't do. You don't want to walk with the man. You want to walk your own way, and you can walk your funky butt right into hell because you ain't got no common sense to know just walk with the man. He ain't going to lead you wrong. And just for y'all know characterize, it is Hey, Lamad, and Kaf, if you will. So you can sit back and behold that the shepherd was subdued. And of course, halak also means manner of life, which means you're willing to live a life of sacrifice and offer yourself and be subdued and come under the subjection to the will of Elohim because you beheld the shepherd doing so. Because you've seen the son of Elohim submit to the will of Elohim, therefore you submit to the will of your king. That's why you'll be willing to be conversing with him and walk with him. But see, many people are not willing to walk with him. That's why he kept telling people, follow me, come walk with me. Most people don't know, look at it, man, and it's all emblematic. I tell you a lot of stuff, though, especially with our people, how men and women behave in their interactions with one another is just emblematic of how we behave towards Yahuwah. We can't even see it because we're so selfish. The women don't want to walk with the men because the men don't want to walk with Elohim. That's what he's trying to show you about how the women behave. You don't want to walk with, because if you were willing to walk with the Lord, then he would give you a woman who will walk with you. But see, most men who say they want to walk with Elohim, they ain't really walking with Elohim. That's why they keep running across women who don't want to walk with them. Because she ain't going to walk with Elohim. Because you ain't doing it. Why would this man give you a woman who going to walk with him and you ain't walking with it? Why would he do that? That don't even make any sense. He ain't going to set, I'm talking about somebody who belonged to him. He ain't going to set his children up for failure like that. He ain't going to do it. See, what I'm talking about, I ain't talking about, oh, you found out you were Israelite. I'm talking about his offspring, people who are born of the word and who are sincerely serving this man in Ruach and in truth. Well, he ain't gonna have you go out like that. He ain't gonna do you like that. He ain't gonna do you like that. 28 and 20. So notice, right? He said, give him bread to eat, which we know is Mashiach's body. and raiment to put on, which is the Ruach HaKadosh, to cover you, lest you be found naked and they see your shame, aka your sin. And I think we mentioned that in regard that remind me that we got to come back around to Psalms 139 and Adam and Songs of Solomon 7. Yeah, because we were talking about our sister have no breasts. I ain't forgot about that. We still got to do that. So that I come again to my Abba's house in Shalom, then shall Yahuwah be my Elohim, and this stone which I set for a pillar shall be Elohim's house. And of all that you shall give me, I will surely give a tenth unto you. See, Jacob was willing to walk with the man. He said, if you keep me in the way, this is nothing. See, of course, we didn't talk about this before when people be talking about tithes were just for the Levites and all this stuff. Dudes just be talking. But this man said, I give you a tenth unto you, everything I got. And all he was concerned with is just keep me in the way. Just keep me in the way. See, that's a different type of mindset. We didn't talk about this here. And please don't take this as somebody soliciting you for no tithes. Please don't. You know what I'm saying? Please don't, because that's not what's going down. Well, we sit back and look at Abraham and Jacob did it, but you say you ain't gonna do it, but you Abraham and Jacob see. I heard Kevin Samuels stupid behind talking about. He said give a tenth. He ain't say to who, you stupid bastard. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Don't you be telling. It be Hebrews say that same John. Don't be telling people that stupidity, man. This man told you exactly who to give it to, why you giving it to him, and what the purpose was. Yes, sir. This man is very detailed and very clear on what he wanted, what he required. I don't know why people be lying on him, man. But you know why people say he would say he didn't say who you would give it to? Because it goes back to what I was telling y'all the other day. Who gonna read the book of Leviticus on general principle? Who just gonna sit back and read Leviticus and find out all that? Because Leviticus tell you exactly who to give it to. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Matthew 19. I think that just came to mind. I heard that nigga say, I said, boy, this nigga need to know he need to stop telling stories. He was only saying that there because Creflo Dollar came for him. But now you got two niggas talking about Bible and don't know what they're talking about. That would be a funny thing to see Creflo Dollar and Kevin Samuels arguing about the Bible. Neither one of you niggas know what the hell you talking about. 19 and 27. Matthew chapter 19, verse 27. Then answered Peter and said, behold, we have forsaken all and followed you. What shall we have therefore? Yahushua said unto them, truly I say unto you, that you which have followed me in the regeneration. When the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his esteem, you shall also sit upon 12 thrones, judging the tribes of Yasharal. Everyone that hath forsaken houses, brethren, sisters, father, mother, wife, sons, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. Many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Now, we're looking at that there because he's talking about people who've forsaken everything that they have. Because as long as they were conversing with him when they were in the fields, they neither missed anything and were not hurt, and he was very good unto them. When you look at not hurt, that is kalam. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to do it like this here. Isaiah 28. I'm going to read Isaiah 28, then I'm going to tell you what kalam means. And that's kaf, lamad, and meme. Isaiah 28 and 16 is what I desire. I'll pick it up at verse 14 on the house. Isaiah 28 and 14. Wherefore hear the word of Yahuwah, you scornful men that rule the people which is in Jerusalem, because you have said we have made a covenant with death, and with hell we are at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehoods we have hid ourselves. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, behold, I lay in Zion a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believes shall not make haste or be confounded. And that's exactly what kalam means, to insult, shame, or humiliate, to be reproached, to be put to confusion, to be humiliated. So notice that he said he was very good unto us and we were not hurt, meaning we were not. That's why we look at the words so you can see what they mean. Because now he said he was very told, or he was very good unto us and we were not reproached or put to shame. He said neither we missed anything. When you look at missed, of course, that is pakad, and that is to pay attention to observe, to cause to be missed, to call into account. There was nothing caused to be missed. Anything here is muma, and that, of course, that is anything. So guess what? As long as you're conversing with Elohim, then you will know all things. He's already told you this. He doesn't hold anything. Let me show you why. Epistle of James, chapter 1. After that, John chapter 15. The Epistle of James, chapter 1. You can pick it up at verse 2. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith work patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and tired, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask Elohim that give to all men liberally and upbraid not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that waver is like a wave tossed of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his way. That man give wisdom liberally, meaning he give you the skill to know what to do and what not to do.
Girl, you ain't turn the light on. I don't care. Go in the room. Why didn't you turn the light on? She's here for us. Right. You ain't turn the light on.
You got caught capping. John chapter 15. Make sure I got what I need. I don't think John 15 what I want.
Put that somewhere. I'll just sit it on the middle of the spot.
Don't just sit it in the middle of the floor. That's not what I'm thinking about, something else. Well, really, I'm thinking there's a passage that say that, and it's not. But you can see that in Luke chapter 24, that he made everything known unto them in regards to the information. Shalom. So when you look at walking with him, you won't miss anything, which means you'll get to know all things. You won't be put to shame as long as you walk with it. And most people don't want to walk with it. Verse 16 of 1 Samuel 25. You have to look at that. Remember, when you see that there, as long as we conversant halak, that means their manner of life, that we're willing to walk in the same pathway that he was willing to walk. And that's a life of sacrifice, a life of discipline and self-denial. The denial of the flesh, if you would. The denial of things that are not congruent with the righteousness of the Father and Shamahim. 1 Samuel 25 and 16. They were a wall between us both by night and day, and all the while we were with them keeping the sheep. Now therefore Noah consider what you will do, for evil was determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such a son of Belial that a man cannot speak to him. That man said, this man is so worthless that you can't talk to him. Let me show you what that is. Proverbs 29. You in there, Captain? Yep, you in there, Captain. You're trying to be manipulative, and it didn't work. I suggest you don't try to live your life that way.
she walked in her room and threw what I gave her on the floor when I turned the light on. So when I came, she got scared. Had the light on. Talking about she's scared of the dark. Turn the light on. Why are you scared of the dark?
Well, technically, that would be being manipulative. And she thought she was going to be chastised. Now you're scared of the dark.
She didn't think I was going to fall behind. She thought I was going to go in there and walk away.
Yeah, so yeah, she was being manipulative. Shoot, that's what that was. Proverbs 29:1. He that being often reproved harden his neck, and shall suddenly be destroyed and without remedy. Now, we've talked about this verse in Proverbs in the past. Let me give you what that is conveying to you in its totality. Someone who has to often be, and the word is tokah, that has to always constantly be punished and chastised and corrected. It is because they are stiff-necked and they harden their neck. They're extremely obstinate, hard and severe, burdensome, obstinate to show stubbornness. Kasha, this is what they often do. You have to pay attention to that. If someone is continually stubborn, ain't nothing you can do for them. He said they will be suddenly destroyed. Marpe is the word for remedy, no cure, no help, no salvation. That's what that's telling you with regards to Nabal. See, if you got to be constantly reproved, ain't no salvation for you. See, that's what y'all don't understand with people, man. If this man got to keep bringing the word to you to check you, and you don't listen, you're going to hell. That man is not going to keep talking to you. But see, we don't believe that. We thinking that this man just going to keep saying it and keep saying. That's what people say. It's never too late. Boy, stop telling people them lies, man. Stop telling people them lies, man. You're going to have to tell people the unadulterated truth. If you keep bucking the man, if you got to keep getting checked, the man is not going to heal you. He's not going to cure you. He's not going to do it. Because at the end of the day, if you reverenced and you love the man like you say you do, why would he have to keep checking you? He said, he that often is reproved is going to be destroyed with no help. That's what happened with Saul. He had to be constantly checked. He didn't get no healing. Don't play with your life like that. It don't make sense. Back to 1 Samuel chapter 25. Verse 18. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves, 2 bottles of wine, 5 sheep ready dressed, 5 measures of parched corn, 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. She said unto her servants, go on before me. Behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so as she rode on the ass that she came down by the covert of the hill. And behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David said, surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow have in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him, and he requited me evil for good. See, pause. John chapter 15. Dang, that junk missing on here. Verse 22. Now, let's set aside. I could have put that in the recycle bin. Make it 18. John chapter 15, verse 18. If the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love his own, because you were not of the world, but I've chosen you out of the world. Therefore, the world hates you. This is how Nabal dealt with David and his servants. He hated them. And he hated them for the word that they spoke. Remember the word that I said unto you, that the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you. If they kept my saying, they will keep yours also. He rejected David's servants, so that means, therefore, they rejected David. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. That's what you have to realize what we were talking about earlier with the persecution that's going to come. They're going to do all these things to you because they don't know the Father. You know, he told you that in John 17, Kadash Abba, the world have not known you, but I have known you. The world don't know Elohim. That's why he said, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. These people don't know this man for real. And y'all have to understand that and accept that. They don't, look here, right? Everybody out here in these streets don't know your Father. The only people who know your Father are the people who had direct dealings with your Father. So you have to realize the world don't have direct dealings with your Father in heaven. They don't know this man. That's why he said the Ruach of truth, the world can't receive it because they don't know him. They don't deal with him. You got people who say they in the word and don't deal with the man. They don't deal with him. They don't know him. See, you don't know him just because you say you don't eat no pork and keep a Sabbath day. That don't mean you know him. Because if you don't know his judgment, if you don't know his character, if you don't know who he is and how he operates, you don't know him. And see, this is the thing with most brews. They'd be like, well, I'll do all the things that's positive to other brews, but to the world, well, Yahuwah like that to everybody. And we already know, let me tell you this here. Why is Yahuwah merciful and just and kind to everybody? Why does he do that for everybody? There's a few reasons that you could use, but why does he do that for everybody? Because when we read that the other day, he's kind to the just and the unjust, the good and the kind and the evil. Why does he do that? Would anybody like to share? Don't nobody like to share? Somebody has to have a general idea of why that's the case. Oh, good grief. Yes, it is. There's going to be a testimony against you. Does anybody have another reasoning? The hallmark of his character, now you've got a little bit more specific reasoning. The testimony against him is one, and there's one other reason. A just balance in a way, I'll allow it. That wasn't what I was looking for, but I'll allow it. One other reasoning, though, probably the greatest reasoning of them all. Who can tell me the greatest reason? No respect of persons? Oh, no, that's not a respect of person, because if he's kind, because the evil and the unjust ought to be taken out. Derek, I will allow it. Love or sufficient that you might know that there's forgiveness with him. If he's merciful and kind to those who don't deserve it, then they would know that there is an opportunity at repentance and salvation. Therefore, you would reverence him. That goes back to say what we read earlier, that if every recompense, if every transgression, if every act of disobedience was met with just recompense of reward, or as it says in Psalms, if he was to mark every iniquity, who will stand? But there's forgiveness with him that he might be feared. So him being merciful to the kind and the unkind, the just and the unjust, is for them to know that there is an opportunity for forgiveness. Ezekiel 18 is your reference point. For if a man does evil and turns and does not any evil, then he said that man shall live. That's the part of the game that most brews get twisted up and mixed up. That man showed mercy to everybody so that the unkind can know that there's salvation, and that the just may know that he's a faithful keeper of his word. Why do you think this man was always around here showing mercy to sinners, man? That let the sinners know that they could be forgiven and live. And then you see him being kind to Lazarus. That shows you that he's a faithful keeper of his covenant when he rolled Lazarus from the dead and showed kindness to him. See, these people don't know this man. See, that's what he's talking about by knowing him. Let me get you to Jeremiah 9. So we read it a little muffin the other day. Let me get you to Jeremiah 9, man. Y'all should know it. Jeremiah 9 and 23, if you would. See, they don't like when you talk that talk. That's when they go to my, you sound like a Christian. Get your funky faggot behind up out of here, you wicked bastard Jew. And when I say faggot, you a bundle of sticks. Not a faggot who likes sticks in his butt, but a bundle of sticks made and prepped and primed for the fire. 9 and 23, Jeremiah. Thus saith Yahuwah, let not the wise man esteem in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man esteem in his might. Let not the rich man esteem in his riches, but let him esteem in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am Yahuwah, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith Yahuwah. That's what he say he take pleasure in. Loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness. He say he takes pleasure in that. You know what take pleasure is in. That's a delight in. That's kafas. He take pleasure in that. That's why Yahushua turned around and told you, what good is it if you kind to the people you know, but you not to sinners? Because that's not how Elohim works. Because if you do it to a sinner, then guess what? It's either a testimony against him or an opportunity to see that they ought to reverence Elohim, because they're going to look, that's the God you serve? And that's how you treat people? See, guess what? Every last one of us, there's not a single solitary one of you that was not born and lived their entire adult life and adolescence in all manner of iniquity and sin. If this man did not have any level of mercy and loving kindness unto you, then you would perish in your iniquities. The whole thing that we're looking at is in the verse in our songs, and we get into it. We just taking a long road to get to it. I hide your face from my sins and blot out all my iniquities, and creating you a clean heart and renew a right ruach within you. We're literally talking about the man's whole objective of what he was manifested for. And we can't even seem to understand that, but you got all this knowledge of the text. You're a wicked bastard, what you is. That means you don't believe the promise and the very word of which you proclaim out of your mouth. Say they don't like that. So let's just go ahead. Let's just come on back to 1 Samuel 25. Let's just do that. And let Yahuwah be esteemed. Oh, I'm still in John 15. I'm sorry. I'm in John 15. I'm in verse 21. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin, but now they have no cloak for their sin. Just like he had came and spoke unto Nabal had no cover for his transgressions. He that hate me, hate my Abba also. If I had not done among them the works which no other man did, they had not had sin, but now they have both seen and hated both me and my Abba. Because understand that David came and showed mercy unto this man and everything that he had, and he rejected that mercy. The same way that Yahushua came and showed mercy unto the house of Yasharal, and they rejected that mercy and seek to do evil to someone who had done no evil to them at all. But this come to pass that the word might be fulfilled that is written in the law. They hated me without a cause. He hated David for nothing. But remember, this is a son of Belial. This is a worthless man. This is a worthless man. First Samuel chapter 25, verse 22. He says, so more also do Elohim unto the enemies of David, if I leave all that pertain to him by the morning light, any that piss against the wall. I mean, every man was going to die. When Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David. I don't have an Android. The disrespect. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lifted off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, upon me, Lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thy handmaid, I pray you, speak in the audience and heal the words of your handmaid. Now, the reproaches of them that reproach you, they just fell on me. That's what you just seen there, right? But now I'm going to make you think. You can't use Rebecca. Can't use Rebecca. Who knows the name of the woman, another woman who also said, let that sin be on me? Can't use Rebecca, though. It's another woman who did it, but you can't use Rebecca. Can't use Rebecca. Anybody? Anybody? No, Esther didn't use those words. This one here is off in the cut, so it might be a little hard for everybody to do this one here, though. Jacob's mom, that's Rebecca, Dad. You can't use Rebecca. She just said it with Esther. Esther ain't the one. Esther ain't the one on this one. There's one other woman who did this. One other woman who did this. This one here ducked off pretty decent. You say Rahab? No, it wasn't Rahab. Come over here to the Book of Kings. Book of Kings. Chapter 2. Verse 12. Trying to make sure that's how the word, the verbiage that I desire. It's been a long time since we did this one here, but this is the other one. First Kings chapter 2, verse 12. Then sat Solomon upon the throne of David his father, and his kingdom was established greatly. Oh, that was Rachel that sat on the idol. That was Rachel who did that there. And Adoniah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, and she said, come you peaceably? He said, peaceably. He said, moreover, I have somewhat to say unto you. She said, say on. He said, you know that the kingdom was mine, and that all Yasharal set their faces on me, that I should reign. Howbeit the kingdom is turned about and has become my brother's, for it was his from Yahuwah. So, he just pretty much told on this. Who cares what the people's face was set on? He said it was his kingdom from Yahuwah. Sit down and shut your mouth. And he said, and now I ask one petition of you, deny me not. She said unto him, say on. He said, speak, I pray you, unto Solomon the king, for he will not say no to you, that he give me Abishag the Shumanite to wife. Bathsheba said, well, I will speak for you unto the king. Bathsheba therefore went unto King Solomon to speak unto him for Adoniah, and the king rose up to meet her and bowed himself unto her and sat down on his throne and caused the seat to be set for the king's mother, and she sat on his right hand. She said, I desire one small petition of you. Say me not nay, because that I pray you is not there. The king said unto her, ask on, my mother, for I will not say nay. Say you nay. She said, let Abishag the Shumanite be given to Adoniah, your brother, to wife. King Solomon answered and said unto his mother, why do you ask Abishag the Shumanite for Adoniah? Ask for him the kingdom also, for he is my elder brother, even for him, and for Abathar the priest, and for Joab the son of Zeruiah. King Solomon swore by Yahuwah, saying, Elohim so do unto me, And more also, if Adonijah have not spoken this word against his own life. Now, therefore, as Yahuwah lived, which established me and sat on the throne of my David, my father, who made me a house, as promised, Adonijah shall be put to death this day. I'm trying to remember this. I'm missing the passage that I desire. Because she definitely asked, let that go ahead and fall on my head. Because that boy spoke a word against his own life on that one. He was in another spot. I can't recall. That's really upsetting. It's been a long time since we talked about that because Bathsheba definitely did the same. Let me look in 1 Kings chapter 1 to make sure. Yeah, I think it's chapter 1 I desire. Let's look at verse 11. As a matter of fact, let me back it up about verse 7. 1 Kings chapter 1, verse 7. And he conferred with Joab, the son of Zeruiah, with Abiathar the priest, and they followed Adonijah and helped him. Zadok the priest and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada and Nathan the prophet and Shimei and Ray and the mighty men which belonged to David were not with Adonijah. Adonijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stone of Zoeleth, which is by Engro, and called all his brethren, the king's sons, and all the men of Yehuda, the king's servants. But Nathan the prophet and Benaiah and the mighty men and Solomon his brother he called not. Wicked bastard. Oh, he spoke that because he knew that was a woman he wasn't supposed to have. So therefore, getting Abishag is just like what he said. You might as well ask for the kingdom as well, because we didn't read this part, what we read now, of the plots and plans and schemes that this man was trying to do to take the throne when he knew it was Solomon's. Verse 11, wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, have you not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, do reign, and David our Lord know it not? Now therefore come, let me, I pray you, give you counsel that you may save your own life and the life of your son Solomon. Go and get you unto King David and say unto him, did not you, my lord, O king, swear unto your handmaid, saying, assuredly Solomon shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. Why then do Adonijah reign? Behold, while you talk there with the king, I will come after you and confirm your words. Bathsheba went into the king's chamber, and the king was very old, and Abishag the Shumanite ministered unto the king. Bathsheba bowed and did obeisance unto the king, and the king said, what would you? She said unto him, my lord, you swear by Yahuwah your Elohim and unto your handmaid, saying, assuredly Solomon your son shall reign after me and sit upon the throne. And now behold, Adonijah reigned, and my lord the king, you know it not. He has slain oxen, fat cattle, and sheep in abundance, and called the sons of the king, Abiathar the priest, and Joab the captain of hosts. But Solomon your servant he have not called. And you, my lord, O king, the eyes of all Yasharal are upon you, that you should tell them who should sit on the throne of my lord the king after him. Otherwise it shall come to pass when the Lord the king shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon shall be counted as offenders. Now, when you look at this here, you can look at Adonijah as one who is as the beast. And Bathsheba is ended up being someone who is counted as an offender, or the reproach is falling on her. Now let's look at this here. And while he yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in. They told the king, saying, behold, Nathan the prophet, when he's coming before the king, he bowed himself before the king with his face to the ground. Nathan said, my lord, O king, you have said, Adonijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon your throne. He has gone down this day and have slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and have called the king's sons, the captain of the host, Abiathar the priest, and they eat and drink before him, and say, Elohim save King Adonijah. But me and even me, your servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and your servant Solomon have ye not called? Is this thing done by my lord the king? Have you not showed it unto your servant? Why? Who would sit on the throne of my lord the king after him? King David answered and said, call me Bathsheba. She came and stood into the king's presence and stood before the king. And the king swore and said, Yahuwah, as Yahuwah lived, that have redeemed my soul out of all distress, even as I swear unto you by Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, assuredly Solomon your son shall reign after me. He shall sit upon my throne in my stead. Even so will I certainly do this day. Then Bathsheba bowed her face to the earth and did reverence to the king and said, let my Lord King David live forever. Make sure this one, and I might have been thinking about this later in Second Samuel chapter 15. Let me make sure. Because Bathsheba came to my brain, but 2 Samuel 15 might be where the other lady did that at. Let me confirm. Come over here to 2 Samuel 15. Or is it 14? No, this app is helping me. I need to look at it on the page. Second Samuel 14, what it is. Second Samuel 14, you can pick it up at verse 7. I don't know if we need to read all this, you know. Yeah, we read verse 7. Behold, the whole family is risen against your handmaid. This is 2 Samuel 14, 7. Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother whom he slew. Now, I want you to know the background of this here. You have Joab, and you know that, of course, this is dealing with Absalom and his issue with David. And, of course, you know, David loved his son. This goes back to you will always have a sword in your house. So Joab had a woman to pretend that she was a woman in mourning, and he son unto David. She said she had two sons. They fought against each other in the field. There was nobody to break them up, and one killed one. Keep this brief. That's the scribes and Yahusha, and they smote him and killed him in the field. And she said, the whole family is risen against your handmaid. They say, deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother whom he slew. We will destroy the heir also, Yahusha, so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. Because these people figure if you wipe out Yahusha, then you wipe out the name of Yahuwah from the earth, because he is the only begotten son of Elohim. The king said unto the woman, go to your house, and I will give you charge concerning you. The woman of Tekoa said unto the king, my lord, O king, the iniquity be on me. That's what I was thinking about, 2 Samuel 14. My apologies. But the first Kings worked out well. Look at what she said, right? The woman of Tekoa said unto the king, my lord, let the iniquity be on me and my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. Don't you realize that when that sin was on Yahusha, that the throne of the Father was guiltless? There was there was nothing that you could say. The king said, whosoever say aught unto you, bring him to me, he shall not touch you anymore. Then she said, I pray you, let the king remember Yahuwah your Elohim, that you would not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy anymore, lest they destroy my son. He said, as Yahuwah live, shall not one hair of your son fall to the earth. The woman said, let your handmaid, I pray you, speak one word unto the Lord of the king. And he said, say on. The woman said, wherefore have you thought such a thing against the people of Elohim? For the king do not speak this thing as one. What are you crying for? Just go get in the bed. And the woman said, wherefore have you thought such a thing against the people of Elohim? For the king speak this thing as one which is faulty, and that the king do not fetch home again his banished. Listen to what she said. Wherefore have you thought such a thing against the people of Elohim? The king do speak this thing as one which is faulty. He is not fetched again home. You are the banished. You understand? You're the banished. See, remember, men are always to pray and not to faint. And that the woman came to him continually, and he said, let me avenge her, lest by her coming she weary me. She's in the bathroom. You can go get in the bed. Okay, but she's in the bathroom. Oh, was she in the bed? Verse 14, for we must needs die, and our water split on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither do Elohim respect any person, yet do he devise means that his banished be not expelled from him. Now, therefore, I am come to speak of this thing unto my Lord the king, is because the people have made me afraid. And your handmaid say, I will now speak unto the king, that it may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of Elohim. Now, that part, that he has devised the means that his banished be not expelled from him. We will not go into that in great detail this day. But of course, you know what that is, the means that he's devised that his banished be not expelled. Elohim manifested himself in the physical form and offered himself as a living sacrifice in order to close up the breach that his banished may return, and that they actually may be delivered out of the hand of those who would seek to destroy you out of the inheritance of Elohim, i.e. Satan, the beast, and the false prophet. Because Satan is the one who wants to get you removed from the inheritance of Elohim, because you saw that in the dealings with who? Adam and Eve. Because the Garden of Eden was the inheritance of Adam. See, I was thinking about this earlier when people said the people talking about, culture and the separated, right? We know that Nakalah is the Hebrew word for heritage, which is the Hebrew word for inheritance. See, a heritage is your culture because that is what you inherit. See, we inherit the word of Elohim from a father to a son. That's what that's given down to. Why do you think in America and in the West they have such a push on not educating and doing anything for young boys? Because that makes weak leaders. And when you make weak leaders, those who are raised to be nefarious leaders and to be able to control the people, it is easier to do so when you have a population of docile and weak men. Because they'll have the physical strength of a man, but the mind and the emotions of a woman. So therefore, they're easily manipulated and controlled. This is something that most people do not understand. That's why it is very, very of the high and utmost importance of the man, if you have sons, to teach them to discipline their emotions. Allow them to understand the emotion that they feel, but to not be moved and regulated by that and to nip that in the bud. He has to have the ability to feel the emotion, but be disciplined not to be moved by it. An emotional man is an easily controlled man, and an emotional man is not fit to lead. An emotional man can't think. An emotional man cannot direct. And also, sadly, an emotional man cannot produce. And if he cannot produce, that means he cannot build, which means he can't link with other men who actually produce, because they will not respect nor want to have any dealings with him, because him being in his emotions will allow him to be able to destroy what they are building. An emotional man is a selfish man. An emotional man cannot work well with others. And an emotional man is short-sighted. You know what I'm saying? It's that there are a plethora, a cornucopia, a multitude, an avalanche of negatives for a man to be emotional. And I'm talking about that have absolutely nothing to do with him interacting with a woman. Nothing to do whatsoever. Nothing to do whatsoever. We're just talking about just men, and the ability for men to sit down and build is going to be completely impossible to do so with a man who is moved by his emotions. Because if you're dealing with men who are men, they're not going to respect an emotional man. They're not going to want to have any dealings with him. And when we're talking about emotional, we ain't talking about if you a hothead, get angry, pop off, you're unstable. Who wants to deal with you? That means you're liable to do something that could destroy what other men are building because you can't harness your anger. You know what I'm saying? You're not worthy enough to build with. You're emotional. Somebody upset you, now you want to fight, you want to shoot, you want to cuss, you want to do that. That's not the attribute of a man. We ought to know what the text say. Anger rests in the bosom of fools, and the slow to wrath is the manifestation. He that is quick to wrath, that is not the righteousness of Elohim. Oh, the Lord done told you. He done told you. So if he done told you, what more do you need to know? He told you that's not how a man operates. If we talking about a godly man, that's not how a man operates. So who gonna build with you? He told you that if he say a furious man, he say don't deal with him, lest you learn his ways, and that be a snare unto you. So Yahuwah telling you, you can't build with a man like that. Get away from him. He said, if you be a man given the appetite to put a knife to your throat, because Yahuwah told you if a man giving over to that type of stuff, that means he can't control himself of his desires. Don't deal with it. So I ain't doing nothing but telling you what the word has also told you, that natural dealings tell you the same. If you're an emotional man, you're not fit to be having interaction with whatsoever. You cannot be trusted, because you can't be trusted to make wise decisions. Because as long as you're dictated by that desire and feeling that you have in that moment, then you can react to it and destroy everything that the men who are around you are seeking to do. Can't do that. Can't be a team player, be emotional. You can't be in business and be emotional, because business is an emotionless endeavor. There's no emotions in business. You know what I'm saying? The people who try to tell you to inject emotions in business, that's a female frame of thought. There's no emotions in business. Business is business. It's a cold game. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is this is the thing. You can do business and still be compassionate. You could do business and still be merciful. Because see, you got people who don't do business and lack mercy and compassion. So it's not being a businessman that would make people lack mercy and compassion. That's just the character of the person. But see, we don't want to talk about that. Because like I said, we want to blame everything on white people. Let me tell you something. I can go through this text right now and show you doing business and you lack mercy and compassion. And you ain't get that from no white people. That's just your character. That's what's in your heart. See, we have to stop blaming stuff on other people. See, you got that from slavery. No, you got that from your wicked heart, nigga. That's where you got it from. It's just easy to play the victim and pass that buck off to some Caucasians, because then you ain't got to deal with the fact that your heart black and you ain't no good. I ain't going for none of that. You ain't learned nothing. You niggas ain't been in slavery, nigga. You niggas come from the project smoking weed, punching in high school, standing at the corner store buying alcohol, getting drunk at college parties. You wasn't in no slavery, nigga. You're an alcoholic and a druggie and a horn dog. So you ain't learned that from no slavery. That's your lust, boy. You ain't learned no inferiority complex from no slavery. You got that from your mammy. She taught you that. Or your weak behind uncles and daddies and granddaddies taught you that. You ain't get that from no slavery, nigga. You got that from somebody who felt like he was inferior, because he didn't have the heart and the intestinal fortitude to go after what he wanted to do. So it's better to just blame it on white people. I was riding with him dog today. He said the same thing. He said he don't like people who be around him talking like that. Ain't no magical white man stopping you from getting no money, nigga. And the reason why we say that, because both of us been in the streets, and we done heard plenty of dudes say, niggas stopping me from getting no money. But the white man stopping you from getting it. No, you're stopping yourself. You're stopping yourself. Ain't nobody stopping you from doing nothing. You's doing it. Ain't nobody stopping you from serving Yahuwah. You stopping yourself. I remember I used to hear dudes, they gonna force people to take them off. They ain't gonna force nobody to do nothing. They gonna try to kill you. That ain't forcing you. You just got a choice. You just don't happen to like your choices. I used to have this conversation on Blog Talk all the time. I'm like, you niggas sound like hoes. Nobody forced you to do nothing. You got a choice. Nobody said you have to like your choice. They say serve the beast or die. Well, you got a choice. You ain't got to serve him. You can die. But you don't like the choice. And when you don't like the choice, then you want to use, I'm being forced. Ain't nobody forcing you to do nothing, my nigga. You got a choice. Man, I used to be in jail. We used to have these conversations all the time, man. I'd be like, yeah, we know them white folk put dope on the street. Yeah, we know they crafted an environment, but you didn't have to sell dope, though. See, that's the part of the game that most of us don't have the wisdom and understanding and the honesty of mind to sit down and have that conversation. Yes, they fostered an environment where most of us live to where you had to make a difficult choice, but it was a choice that you made because you ain't have to sell them rocks. You ain't have to sell that reefer. You ain't have to sell them guns. You ain't have to sell that Molly. You ain't have to sell that X. You ain't have to sell them keys. You ain't have to sell that boy. You ain't have to sell none of that. You chose to do that. So therefore, you chose to volunteer yourself for whatever consequences come from what you chose to do. I done told y'all that before, man. Sitting in that court shooting, that dude was like, boy, them cracker got us in here, man. Them cracker got us in. I said, man, my nigga. And at this time, bro, I'm facing 3 years of life, my G. Now, I know I probably ain't going to get that high end of that sentence, but I don't want to hear that knowing that, bro, I could go do 10, 15, 20 years in prison, bro. I don't want to hear this right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, my G. Boy, I said, boy, I ain't sell dope for 9 months, bro. I said, you know what happened? What? I said, I ain't go to jail. I say, bro, I started selling dope again. I say, you know what happened? You like, what? I'm in here talking to you, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, the decision that I made, that's the outcome. So we have to look at that. What is the outcome from the choices that you're making? Because nobody is forcing you to make the choices that you are making. See, a woman can't sit around and say, oh, men ain't this, that, and the third when you mismanage your vagina. Because then nobody, because most women don't want to hear that. Well, these men, well, you ain't have to let him enter into your vagina raw and ejaculate. You chose to do that. So that's the outcome from the choice that you made. Because a brother was talking about this the other day, which a lot of women do. And he was talking about why women don't get upgraded. And what he mentioned was this, is that women get with men who they know ain't about nothing. And they hope that they will become a producer or productive later. Or after the child come, oh, he gonna do this and do that. But if he wasn't doing it before the baby coming, he ain't doing it after. It's only a small percentage of men that when that type of responsibility come about, something kicking the gear and they say, I need to tighten my game up. Because if he ain't on that type of time before, baby, 9 times out of 10, he ain't gonna be on it after it. So that's a mismanagement of your vagina. I don't care how young you were. If you ain't wise enough to understand the outcome of opening your legs, then you should have kept them closed. So that's still your fault because you ain't had no business cocking them open if you was underage anyway, or if you ain't understand what you were doing. That's your fault. But see, that's what doesn't happen amongst our people no more. Ain't nobody gonna tell you, hey, I understand, but that's your fault though. You made that choice. You made that decision. I'm not finna sit here and have no boo-hoo party for you because you made a bad decision. That's on you. Maybe you could be able to take that and tell somebody else and say, let me tell you something. Well, when I was such and such, hey, boy, I was stupid as all out though. Well, see, I got myself in this position. You ain't got to go down that road. But see, we don't want to do that because that means we're going to have to admit to other people that we were stupid. That's why Paul say, he say, I'm the least of all the apostles. He said, you know what I'm saying? He said, me, I was a perjurer, a blasphemer, and injurious. That man ain't had no problems going around telling people how stupid he was. So that they could understand how stupid they're being, so they might turn, because he's an example of the mercy and grace of Elohim. So we don't like to do that because we like to care about how we look in the eyesight of others. I don't give a damn because I don't care. I don't need anybody's validation, so I just don't care. Doesn't mean that much to me, never did. But I understood self-accountability and responsibility for what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I can't say the white man put me in prison. I put my own self in prison because I ain't buy no dope from no white man. I don't care where they got them keys from. I ain't buy it from him. I ain't have to go around there and cop that work. I definitely didn't have to cook it. I definitely didn't have to cut it. I definitely didn't have to post up on Royal Palm. I ain't have to post up on Mayport Road. I ain't have to post up in Justina. I ain't have to do none of that. You know what I'm saying? And we have to look at that. Anything that you've done that ain't right, you didn't have to do it. You chose to do it. Be man and woman enough to accept the consequences of what you chose to do. And be man and woman enough to let somebody know, don't you go down that road. Don't you do that. I done did it for you. I can tell you how this story ends. Don't do it. See, we don't like to do that. We don't like to do that. Because that brings forth that pain. You got to think about, dang, boy, I was stupid. Come on back over here to 2 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 25. We're in verse 24. I believe verse 24. God. Yeah, verse 24. 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 24. And he fell at his feet. Upon me, my Lord. Upon me let this iniquity be. Let your handmaid, I pray you, speak in your audience and hear the words of your handmaid. Now, of course, we're going to come back to that. The lady in 2 Samuel 14, we'll probably go grab Rebecca and Abigail as well. Are these women who are willing to take a reproach on their head, willing to let that sin carry on them. And they're an example of Mashiach being willing to carry the sin. And I'm going to tell you this here. These women are saying to let this reproach to them be on them because who did the reproach initially come in from? It came in from the woman. And we'll have to deal with that in regards to Mashiach being male and female at the same time. And, of course, being saved through childbirth. Just to correlate that with some things that we didn't already discuss. Let's keep on rolling. Verse 25. Let my Lord, I pray you, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom you did send. Now, therefore, my Lord, as Yahuwah live and as your soul live, seeing Yahuwah have withholden you from coming to shed blood, from avenging yourself with your own hand, let now your enemies, now let your enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal. Now, of course, she talking about Saul and everybody who rolled with him. She say, let them be as fools or sons of Belial. Now, also, right, withholding, setting blood, vengeance is of Yahuwah. I shall repay. Remember when David counted the people and he gave him the options of what he'd fall? He said, let me fall into the hands of Yahuwah. Because he said, who will know if man will be merciful? See, you have to understand something, right? It is not your duty to take it into your own hands to shed blood. It will Yahushua, of course, we didn't talk about it before about turning the other cheek. See, when dudes be like this here, that's that Christian stuff, that's that weak stuff, this, that, and the third. See, you not an Elohim, so you don't trust an Elohim to avenge you. Jacob didn't seek to avenge himself on Laban. Yahuwah did that for him. When you look at the righteous men in this text, they never sought vengeance on anyone, even with David. Even with David, we could go all the way through in that 1 Kings chapter 2. All those men he named, he didn't seek vengeance on none of them men. He told Solomon to do it, which, of course, that's the correlation of I committed all judgment unto the Son. David ain't seek to avenge himself on none of them men. But they'll tell you that's Christian stuff. That's why many people don't know. And this is a man after Elohim's own heart, so these people don't know Yahuwah. So you have to understand people who just read the text and people who seeking to know the author of the text. As they said in Hebrews, seeking the author and finisher of our faith. See, a lot of people, they're not seeking the man who wrote it and who finished it to understand and know who he is and operate in the space that he operate in. Because a lot of these niggas, they got to show that they tough. And a lot of them got to feel like they got to show that they tough because they was raised by a woman. So they didn't have a man who could temper that for them to know when to be tough and when to be compassionate and when to be merciful. And we know David's a stone cold killer, a warrior. The greatest warrior, more than likely, in the history of Yasharal. And this man had more mercy and compassion and understanding than all these old so-called killers and gangsters and warriors in our time who got to show they all tough and hard. Ain't nobody impressed by that. You niggas just killers trying to pretend to be righteous on the low. You ain't got no mercy in your heart. You ain't tough. You ain't no godly executor. Because men of godliness don't even seek to do violence first in the first place. You got to watch somebody that every time they feel like somebody offended, the first thing they want to go to is violence. That person of the devil. That's not of heaven. That's of the earth. That's sensual and devilish. And if you know the word, you're supposed to know that. If the first thing you want to go to is violence, why are you going to tell me the Ruach of Yahuwah exists in you, boy? Well, you telling stories. You know what I'm talking about? First thing you want to do is fight, talking about what you going to do to somebody. But you godly, man, get up out of here, man. You know what I'm talking about? Come on, man. Man, the Lord himself was finna get killed. Knew he was finna get killed. And that man ain't go to war. And he know he could have smashed everybody in his sight. So you mean to tell me you boy, they boy just talking, man. We just read that in Hebrews 11 last week. Well, you got men who wouldn't even accept deliverance looking for a better resurrection. Well, these boys don't hope in no promise, man. They got to show they tough. They got to try to impress the peanut gallery. See, I told you that boy. So they can say that boy there was a soldier, boy. Then they gonna look up, hey, that nigga burning in hell. How he got in there? Because that nigga was evil and faithless and unbelieving. That's how he in that nigga. But you thought he was righteous because he could bust a gun with his wicked self. And I ain't saying that you can't bust no gun and knock nobody top loose. That ain't what I'm telling you if the situation called for it. What I'm talking about is when something happens and the first thing a man wants to do is react with violence. I'm not talking about a situation where you're protecting your household, protecting your brethren. I'm talking about something happens and your first reaction is violence. Well, you are the devil, boy. Because the book say he was a murderer. We just read it. So if the first thing you go to is you want to do something to somebody, nigga, you are the devil. And I tell any brew that to their face. You are the devil, boy. You're not going to tell me that, so you can't show me nowhere in this text that man went straight to that. Even with Egypt, he ain't go straight to Merkin. But you ain't got nowhere in this text where this man go straight to Merkin. Y'all got any situations and circumstances with any nation of people where he just went straight to Merkin? He ain't go straight to killing with the flood. Boy, he suffered them people for a long season. Boy, he ain't go straight to Merkin with Yasharal, boy. He suffered them people for a long season. He ain't go straight to Merkin Nineveh. I just mentioned Egypt. He ain't go straight to killing them people. That's not the first thing he went to. Oh, he plagued them decent now. Let's not get it twisted. But he ain't go to straight to killing. You don't see nowhere in the text you who will pop off and go straight to killing. By the time you who will go to killing, you done stretch this man's patience a long, long way before he go to killing. Because that's how much mercy he got into him before he go to do that. But what's the first? He's a man of war. Sit your monkey behind down, nigga. You ain't. Because if you a man of war, men who are at war use strategy. You niggas moving off impulse. But let me keep on moving, man. And I say that because there's been things shown when they say that Moses is the greatest military strategist in the history of the world, not knowing, because they would read the text and study his military movement, not knowing Yahuwah was directing him the whole way. That's why I can say that war is about strategy, because Yahuwah is the greatest military strategist to ever exist. And if Yahuwah is on your side, there's no war that you're going to lose. Who going to beat Elohim in a battle? Verse 27, 1 Samuel 15. Now this blessing which your handmaid have brought unto my Lord, let it be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. I pray you forgive the trespass of your handmaid, for you will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fight the battles of Yahuwah, and evil have not been found in you all your days. We're going to stop right here, because we're going to come back to verse 28 and we're going to dissect it. But I want you to think about it, the things that are in it, the things that she stated, and how they relate to Mashiach, because we got about another 16 verses to go in this particular chapter. And we're over 2 hours, and I know that I'm not going to be able to go through that like I desire and it be sufficient. So hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Most importantly, we bless our Father in Shamahim in the name of Yahushua for his word and for his wisdom and his understanding. You know, we learn a lot of things, but a lot of things are very accurate. and very prevalent. And of course, we're going to double back because we're actually looking at the mercy and patience of Elohim contained in this. We have to fish on some other things. So we're going to have to bring back in, like I said, Wednesday, we've got to bring back in Psalms 139, Adam and Eve, Songs of Solomon chapter 7, along with Songs of Solomon chapter 8, along with Ezekiel 16 in a different type fashion. Come back and look at Rebecca, the woman of Tekoa, and those are the one that's escaping my brain. As forth as and Abigail about taking on that sin and all of these things. So we're talking about him hiding his face from your sins and blotting out your iniquities. And how Yahushua did all of these things. But most importantly, it's just getting a level of understanding. And again, I've told y'all this for years. I will not stop from ceasing to do so as long as Yahuwah keep breath in my lungs, that you must understand and know who he is. When you understand and know who he is, the ability to serve him is very, very easy. Because then you can manifest who he is and others can see it. See, we don't really want to do that. That's why I mentioned the stuff earlier about how women act and how people act in the same way with the word when it comes down to the structure and the order and knowing that this man paid the cost. Therefore, he can dictate the terms. That man paid the cost. He said he won't love and kindness, judgment, and righteousness. He takes pleasure in that. So he takes pleasure in those that believe, those who are merciful, and those who know right from wrong. That's what this man said he delighted. These are very simple things. Like I said, man, we go through a lot of texts and we could go through all these mysteries and all this type of stuff. And like Paul put it, I can know all these mysteries, but if I lack love, I'm nothing. And that's the point of the matter, is that Jeremiah 9:24. If you ain't got no mercy and compassion and you don't know right from wrong and you don't believe, you're nothing. Because he said, let him that esteem in this, that he know and understand me. I mean, you have insight on who he is and what he's about and what he delights in. He takes pleasure in that. He takes pleasure in that. And when you do that, when you exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness, there's no room for you to be emotional. And if there's no room for you to be emotional, that means you can operate like a man should. Men are supposed to lead. You can't lead being emotional. Remember, we talked about that. He that ruleth amongst men must be just. How are you going to have rule and dominion and be emotional? You don't even have rule and dominion over yourself. That's why those who are Mashiachs have crucified their affections and lusts. You can't rule if you don't have rule over yourself. You have to teach your sons the same thing. That son, you got to have rule over yourself. You a man. Men must control themselves. It is imperative that a man controls himself because the fate of his family, the fate of his community rests on his ability to control himself. See, our salvation rested on the ability that Mashiach suffered in the flesh. And he that suffered in the flesh ceased from sin, that he should no longer live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of Elohim. That means this was a man who was able to control himself. Our salvation rested on the ability of a man who was able to discipline and control his emotions in his flesh. It is imperative that we do the same and teach the young men also. It is imperative. We see these are things that your mama not going to tell you that because she doesn't have the ability to do that. She dwells in emotion. That's not a negative. That's just what it is. See, when we make certain assessments as far as truth is concerned, people look at it as a negative. It just is. Yes, women are emotional creatures. It just is, nigga. Get over that. Stop being upset about what is and begin to understand on how to move in unison or around it, if you would, to understand that. Because, of course, she's not disciplined in emotion, so you must be. That's something that your mother would not be able to give you, because if she get angry, she's just going to let her anger out. She's sad, she's just going to let her sadness out. She's just going to do that. That's in her nature. And you can't beat her in that because she can understand how she feels it and compute it and this, that, there, and the third. And it's not going to frazzle her in the area that if a man does it. Because she doesn't have to lead, so she doesn't care about letting that out. But you do. You can't lead a household and you can't lead a group of men and you can't control yourself and you don't have discipline over your emotions. You're not going to be able to do it. You're definitely not going to be able to lead any children. You're not going to be able to raise them. You're just going to do like we talked about earlier. You're just going to be able to maintain them. I told my homeboy the other day, in my 20s, I had a little bit of game to give a seed. In my 30s, I had a little bit more. But now at 40, I have plenty of things to give him. You know what I'm saying? You got to have things to give him. You got to have a wealth. Again, that's why the book tells you that wisdom is better than rubies, and nothing that a man can desire can be compared to it. Because if you have wisdom, you have wealth. See, if you remember, he said those that are rich in faith. See, if you have the faith of Elohim, you have wealth that can't be quantified by material items, can't be quantified by so-called currency. And that's wealth that you give to your offspring. Because the same way that we are made in the image of Elohim, your son is made in your image. And men who look at their own image want to give their image the same things that is contained in them to him, so that he can do the same. So that he can do the same. It's imperative. It's the only way that a culture, that a heritage, that an inheritance can continue, is that it has to be passed down. But it has to be passed down from men who are willing to do the things necessary to acquire the resources in order to pass it down. And when we're talking about acquiring resources, we're talking about buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom and instruction. You have to be willing to purchase and go and possess. Let me make sure I ain't leave nothing out, because I feel like I left something out in that scenario. Let me make sure that I didn't leave something out in that scenario, because my mind is telling me I left something out. Did I leave something out? Yes, I did. Buy the truth, sell it not. Also wisdom, instruction, and understanding. So you need to go out here and possess the rebuke, to be checked in order to get the skill, to know what to do and what not to do, and to have the insight on why of what to do and what not to do in order to give it to your son, so he can give it to his son, and so on and so forth. And even not just giving it to his son, that maybe he can give it to one of his peers. And that's not to say that his peers didn't get anything from his household, but that's what men do. That's what we were taught. You know what I'm saying? Each one teach one. You got the game, you're supposed to pass it on. Remember, I talked to y'all about that. Are you a value to the people around you? How can you benefit the people around you? And most importantly, even if you benefit, fine. But even if you don't, are you willing to be a benefit to others, even if you don't get a benefit in return? And if you know that somebody's being a benefit to you, are you seeking to be a benefit to someone else, or even to return that benefit back to them? Because that's what most other races of men do in order to build a consort and conglomerate of power. And we're talking about building a consort and conglomerate of power in the righteousness of Elohim. I ain't even talking about on no business, bumps of business. You know what I'm talking about? That's a light thing. We know this man can take a beggar from a dunghill and set him with kings. So that's nothing. You know what I'm talking about? But can we be a consort and a conglomerate of power of men who can be able to sit down and be able to be a value to each other in the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of Elohim? A consort of men who can be willing to call upon the name of Elohim on one accord in righteousness. See, that's a whole nother conversation. And a lot of brews pick at brews who on that type of time, who want to do those type of things. Ain't nothing wrong with those men desiring to do that. It's quite noble in my opinion, but what do I know? But blessings out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate y'all. You who are willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow and make it do what it do. And until that time.